Winning tournaments and playing in the last round is the subject for this video, where we're gonna go through the last round in the Hastings tournament and find the right strategy. What should you do in the last round? Because let's face it, it's always in the last round it will be decided. And some people just don't have the nerve. They don't dare to play in the last round. And well, it will cost them. If you do a calculation, you will realize that it's almost always a good idea to go for the win, especially if you have a reasonable chance to win. Before the last round in Hastings, the situation was that Cherniaev, Korpa, and Sulskis were all leading with 7 points from 9, and only one of those players could win the tournament. It's a prestigious tournament, even though it's not that strong anymore. It's actually in history. It's more name than it's actually anything else, because it has a great name. Hastings is just the Battle of Hastings and so on. So but in reality, true history, there's not been that many strong lineups in the Hastings. But it is one of the classic tournaments, and of course you would like to win it. Also, you get more money, and the money game is always interesting. So what we're going to look at here is 3 different approaches. Well, to be honest, I'm not sure we can talk about approach. First one is Cherniaev. He was unfortunate with the pairings. This is always something that he met Romain Edouard, the highest rated player in the tournament, a Frenchman who used to be 26 something, with black. Edouard is not as good as he used to be, but he's still a strong player, and he's a strong in the opening. And Cherniaev got under pressure and was, to be honest, very lucky to escape with a draw. So not much to do there. If you're black and you're under pressure, well, then you don't have a strategy. Well, your strategy is to survive, right? Let me live. Let me get that half point and win a little bit of prize money here. Next up, we have Ben's Korpa from Hungary playing against, I think, Brandon Clark from England. And Ben's has white, and he's got slightly higher rating, 25-16 versus 24-84. That's not something, but he do have white. And what did he do? Well, he do what... Well, sorry, maybe it's unfair, but I think Hungarians are in general a little bit peacefully inclined, and he did what most Hungarians would do. He took a fast draw with white. 13 moves, and that was that. And I think in a position where, to be honest, there were not real chance of losing. So he should have just... Well, that's the wrong approach. If you want to win tournaments, that's the wrong approach. If you want to maximize your feeling of safety and so on, and not spoil a good tournament, so sort of being risk averse, then it's the right approach. But if you really want to win tournaments, you have to go for it. You really have to. There's nothing to do. And sometimes you'll lose and you will hate yourself. And the thing is, to avoid that pain of hating yourself like really, really much, a lot of players would just take the draw. But you should go for the win. And of course, that's what Sulskis did. I don't think Sulskis, I once lost to him. He played a great game, attacking game, sacrificing a piece, and I couldn't stand for the pressure. And I think he's in general a very sort of imaginative and uncompromising player. He's not. He will never take a draw like fast. He seems also to be a nice and intelligent guy. I remember he once got me my prize money in a tournament in Estonia. I didn't know I was entitled to get some prize money in some, I think, Kira's Memorial Rapid Tournament or something. So I'm glad. Anyway, I'm glad he won. I'm also glad that this strategy won. So let's see the game. How do you handle this in the last round? Well, first of all, you don't want to go all in and play like a crazy opening. That makes no sense. You want to have something where at least you can bail out with a draw, but where you can keep under pressure and without much risk. Sulskis is, of course, an e4 player, and I think Cherniaev, he would like to play the Sveshnikov, but we will have none of that. The Rosolimo variation, which, to be honest, I think white should simply be slightly better after bishop b5. It's like a supercharged Nimzo Indian. e6, that's gaining momentum at the moment. Black is a little bit tired of g6. White has gotten a lot of new ideas, and you basically it seems that black is under some pressure there, and this is more sort of this is a little bit more of an sort of, I would say, elegant approach. D4, that's actually what scores best for white. And it's very strange because we will get some sort of Sicilian now, like a Taimanov Sicilian, where black actually uses this knight configuration, but with the weird bishop here on b5, where it is actually misplaced. And if black goes something like a6, you would actually move it back to e2. So if you go like a6, bishop e2, black would be, basically, we could see it, actually. He doesn't play that. He plays knight g6. Black would basically be one clear tempo up, but there's no knight on c3. That's one thing. On a Taimanov setup with knight. But the Taimanov was a very strong player, and he was able to get away with this setup for black. But the reality now is that it's a very bad setup. To be honest, it's kind of nice. You exchange one knight, and then you do like this, and then you go here, and then you develop all your pieces on the queen side, bishop b7, something like that. And Taimanov did pretty well with this. Nowadays, black is scoring horribly in this lineup, and it's so bad that white is actually happy to go into this one full tempo down. Okay, knight d6, natural move, because the bishop is just wrong on b5. So we go back here, immediately go back, simply. Bishop b5 was black got a free tempo in an open position, but it doesn't matter much because the knight is not that good on g6, especially the way it turns out. a6, natural move, preventing knight b5, which could sometimes be annoying because you don't want to give up the dark squared bishop down here. Okay, bishop e3. And also, this kind of setup is nice for white. He's got more space and a slight advantage, and can hope to pressurize black. And black would probably take the draw if you offer it. So that's a nice situation to have. Queen c7 is c4, and we see now that this is turning it into a hedgehog, and that's probably a very good idea. In general, a knight here in the hedgehog is pretty nice, but the hedgehog is not fantastic in this unless it's set up fully. And that's also why in the real hedgehog, white is trying to destroy black's position as fast as possible. And here, white is really trying to avoid black getting these things set up. Another thing with this setup with c4 is that usually black strategy involves knight takes d4. It's hard to get around this move. The problem is hedgehogs are not that great with only 3 minor pieces. So this is a rule of thumb. Something to remember, like a default if you're in doubt. If you are playing a hedgehog position, you prefer to have 4 light pieces on the board and not 3. So exchanging one knight is not helping black. Was that clear enough? I hope so. Bishop d6. All this is theory. d3, that is also necessary, and also it restricts the knight here. That is starting to look a little bit weird on g6. Here I think black should probably play b6 in order to meet something like knight c3 with this threat, with bishop c5. And I think black needs to put this bishop here very fast to try and generate some counterplay in this diagonal. He took here, bishop takes, and castle. And that's probably already a clear mistake. And the problem is this move, very annoying move, preventing b6. And the problem was, of course, that the pawn was hanging on g6, so you had to do something. But probably you had to play bishop e5 or things like that. Because after this move, bishop c5 is necessary, and you're getting into sort of a hedgehog position that's not very good. In general, the hedgehog is sort of losing force. The more minor pieces disappears. The breaks that black usually have, and in this kind of Rosomalimi, it's always so. With f5, they lose force. They lose force when there are less pieces on the board. And this nice move, queen c3, is simply pushing here. If we go e5, then they will leave a big hold on d5. So he took here and b6. So black is slowly getting ready to get his setup in order. But the knight here is not exercising any kind of pressure on the position. It's more or less dominated by this pawn on d3. Knight c3, d6, because black was already afraid if you do something like this, he will not be able to play d6, and white will go queen d6 and just sit on the position. Maybe this first, and knight a4 and b6 will be impossible to hold. So this is a little bit already a little bit annoying. d6, but we see this setup is fine if black can somehow generate some counterplay, or if he can keep the pawns here without any kind of nuisance. Unfortunately, he can't, because after this move, notice that it was this rook, and that's kind of if you're playing against Sulskis and he moves a rook away from your king towards the queen side, then you should be worried about your queen side. Rook d8, b4, taking more space, and black was already annoyed with that maybe this meets into this move. I think rook d7 looks very clumsy. Rook here, and white is playing all natural moves and is already clearly better. Overprotecting here, prophylactic. The problem is black does not have a good way to get his pieces out. Something like this can always be met by this, and that's really, really, really annoying. And I don't know, or even maybe sometime knight a4 is not even clear. Maybe this is not that bad, but even though c6 might be coming, it could be very bad. Yeah, white even after something like this, maybe this move and and this is kind of funny, right? I think the queen is trapped. Yeah. A3. Knight f8. The knight was not doing anything on g6. It's by the way a natural square for the knight, so it's covering the rook. Everything looks fine. Knight a4, preventing bishop b7. Again, very annoying move. Black really just needed to get this here in order to be okay, but he can't, because b6 is hanging. Okay, so what to do? Queen c6. Natural move. b5. You don't really want to open the c file when you're behind in development like this, because white rook would sit on this square here. So you move, but here he really had to move to this square, because to be honest, where he goes is much worse. Queen b7 is really bad. It's in this diagonal, and after this move, what to do? You don't want to open the b file. You're just gonna get into serious trouble. You're gonna lose the pawn, and so you have to play a5, and that's already not so good. So what here? Well, to be honest, if black was to get his knight to c5, he would be fine. He just needs a little bit more time or space, but he will not get it. White strikes immediately with e5, exploiting this, and it's by the way very instructive the way white is conducting this. Also, it must be a nice way in a last round to get this kind of dominating position where there's no risk at all involved, and you're just pressuring black to death. He has to take, queen takes, and white is clearly for takes here. It's not really easy to get your pieces out. This one is very weak. This one move is threatening, and the d file will not be easy to get your pieces out. Queen c7, national move. Unfortunately, the endgame is a disaster. You just take, and rook here, and again we see this problem. And black is just never gonna get this in. It's just not gonna happen. So knight d7, and here there's many ways to win. The most thematic and the way you would in general do is, of course, the breakthrough here in this dominating position. By the way, if black is sort of gets his king to this square, then maybe he's close to surviving. There will be some reasonable chances to survive, but of course he's not going to get anything to any square here. c5 is just, if it's allowed, it will of course go forward. You could also take, but it's probably easier just to get the passport and bury this alive. So he has to take. b6. It doesn't really threaten anything because of the pin here. So black has time for this, but it doesn't help anything, of course. Rook here. Now it's a threat. He has to move. Bishop a6. Okay, there goes the rook. It's simply trapped. And the problem, of course, is when this one goes, the defense of this one is also disappearing. So black could basically resign. King e7, bishop takes, rook takes, and rook c6. And it's kind of fitting that the last move more or less traps the rook here. You could say you could do something like this, and here I think just this move is just easily winning. You're still dominating this one, and it will never ever go into something active. The rook will just trample all over the position like some sort of a tank or something. So easily win. And after rook c6, black resigned. Sulskis had won Hastings 2023, and this was a model game for how to play in the last round. But okay, getting a nice opening edge and just pressurizing your opponent to death is not always that easy. It looks easier when you see it afterwards than when you're playing the game. And probably during the game, Sulskis was nervous. When you're playing these kind of games, just remember, and this is important, don't second guess yourself. Just keep making a good move. Don't start to think about, okay, if I win this, I will win the tournament. Oh no, okay, man, I'm playing well here. I'm gonna publish this with notes in New in Chess or something. Don't think those thoughts. They are only making it more difficult to play good chess. So keep on playing good chess, and you will get the results you deserve. This was GM Talk. By the way, we are experimenting a little bit with the graphics, so please bear with us and give your comments. It's interesting, and also remember to like and subscribe here at GM Talks. Thank you for watching.